Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
We all know those GLP-1 injections work wonders, but that price tag almost gave me a heart attack when my insurance denied coverage. I was staring at a choice between paying my mortgage or paying for weight loss. Talk about a rock and a hard place. Then I found Elevate Health compounded semaglutide at just $58 with payment plans that don't require a second mortgage. Same medication, same results, but a price that real folks can actually afford. Visit joinelevate.com today. That's JOINELEVATE.com. Your wallet will be as happy as your waistline. This medication is not FDA approved.
It's Sunday, August 11th, and this is Doing the Thing. I'm Eric Rezsnyak, and I'm here with Ashleigh Stiles. Hi, Ashleigh.
Hey, Erin.
It's a Fandom Thing's Erin Marlow.
Hey, Eric.
And Self-Interrupted's Kit Costello. Hello, Kit.
Hello, Eric.
And we are going to talk to you about everything happening in our worlds this week. How are you guys doing? I'm going to start with Ashleigh since you're alphabetically first.
That's a great way to start things. Yeah, I'm doing all right. My webcam's deciding to acting up, so I'm not on video at the minute, but we'll see if we can fix that as we go on.
That's okay. So aside from webcam stuff, how's it going, Ashleigh?
It's going great. Yep, it's been a fine week. Great weather. Just doing all right.
Awesome. Erin, how you doing? What do you got going on?
I'm good. I'm busy. I'm getting ready for a long road trip coming up, starting next weekend. So, yeah.
And I heard through the grapevine that you're going to a convention soon. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm going to a supernatural convention in 2 weeks in Indianapolis. So I'm very, very excited about that. Excited to get another picture with Jensen Ackles.
And just so people understand, she doesn't mean supernatural as in like boo, spooky. She means supernatural as in the actual television program,
the
right?
Television show, yes, yes.
Bingo. Important to clarify that. Kit, how are you doing? What's new in your world?
Honestly, not much. I'm kind of just like relaxing. It's been summer. I'm not really like a heat person. So it's more inside, vibing, on TikTok too much, switching from app to app. It's disgusting Gen Z behavior from me.
Yeah, I feel that. And I'm several letters removed from Gen Z, but I don't do the heat. I don't do the sun. That is not my bag. Erin and I, we like, hello, pasty-faced American high five. But, you know, we're going to ride out these last few weeks of August complaining about it and being as antisocial as we can. How about that?
Exactly.
Great. So we are going to go ahead and if you're listening live on Wizard Radio Station, where we do the thing live every Sunday from 8 p.m. UK time, you can get involved, but we're going to jump into some hot topics over here. First up, this is kind of a downer moment, but I think it's a great discussion. Taylor Swift's concerts in Vienna were canceled this week after the Austrian police foiled a terror attempt targeted at the concerts. Officials say a 19-year-old was behind the plot, with 3 teenagers since arrested. Have we gotten too comfortable with safety nowadays in public spaces, with some of the airport's elements around airport and public security being decreased post-COVID? Is the threat more real than ever? I'm going to start at the back of the pack alphabetically. Kit, do you have thoughts on this?
Well, yes, I do. Because I was meant to go and see Taylor Swift this upcoming Friday. And honestly, I don't feel safe in big spaces anyway. I've never been to a stadium show, even an arena show I've never been to. And I'm not going just because I don't feel safe. And it's really scary. I mean, when you think about what a safe space it's been built to be, you know, Taylor Swift, it's a lot of young people. And it's just terrifying that, you know, it's just like the ugliest thing that could happen that thank God didn't, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's kind of ruined that for me, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, which is a bit sad to say.
It's deeply sad that, like, this is where we are. We have to decide, okay, do I go? And as you pointed out, Kit, this is a space that was meant to be safe for you. And it's something that you are already felt a little bit uncomfortable about, but you were excited about this, right?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. And now you're at a point where, well, maybe I can't get excited about these experiences that are uplifting as a community, right? And they unite us and they energize us. And you know, Taylor has a song, "This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things." And I'm not trying to be glib about it at all. But like, sincerely, that it is true. Like we can't have these types of amazing things because there is this dark undercurrent. Erin, do you have thoughts about this?
Yeah, I think, I mean, speaking as someone from the United States, there is also that fear every time you go out to places about gun violence. I mean, it's just kind of underlying everything. So I don't know if we've gotten too comfortable. I think it's more that we have gotten so used to this, which is so sad, that it's just something that we're like, well, it might happen, might not. I'm just going to go and live my life and not think about it. And then I think when you do that, sometimes precautions can get a little, you know, lax and stuff like that. But I think it is just that sadly we've gotten so used to the fact that this can happen anywhere. It can happen at a movie theater. It can happen, you know, anywhere. I know that anytime I go see a tentpole movie in the movie theater, that is in the back of my head is remembering, you know, what happened in a movie theater here. I'm in Colorado, so it happened here. And so there's always that thing in the back of our heads, I think, and back of our minds, you know, especially with all the turmoil going on right now in the world and everything. So sadly, I think it's always there, and we've just gotten so used to it that we've become kind of lax about it in a way, or lazy about it in a way, I guess.
Which is deeply sad. I do want to commend the authorities that were able to foil this before it happened, right? Because it could have gone much worse. But it is, I'm glad that at least we were able to stop and put this down. But we have to have more of a conversation on this. Ashleigh, any thoughts about this? Any thoughts? Do we need to be more vigilant, or do you think that maybe we're being more vigilant than we need to be?
I think it really depends whether you're talking about a personal level or a sort of broader societal level. I think if you want to talk about the fact that there are a lot of risks, if it just come from modern life, take a car, for example. If a person decides to just drive a car into a street, as has happened before, you know, that's a big risk. But equally, on a personal level, I don't think it necessarily does us any favors to be living in a sort of endless state of not paranoia, that's perhaps the wrong word, but speaking to the American election, it reminds me of immediately after, for example, 9/11, when people were ultra vigilant and ultra paranoid about everything all the time, and it actually had some negative consequences as well. For example, certain communities that ended up being discriminated against because people thought, oh, well, we absolutely can take no chances ever again. So on the one hand, like, you know, as you say, Eric, it's very good that there were things in place to stop this from happening. On the other hand, I think being, you know, a certain level of not being inured to it, but you need to be able to live your life ordinarily in spite of things that might happen.
I think it's such a great point, Ashleigh. And there is that careful balance. And I think we're going to have to find it again after this situation. Again, very glad, very lucky that it was foiled before anything happened, before anyone got hurt. It's unfortunate that we're having to deal with this reality, period, and kind of detracting from what should be a joyous concert moment. Speaking of concerts, also this weekend, Boardmasters Festival in Cornwall, England, experienced a large crowd surge with 7 synths being treated in hospitals. Has concert etiquette been forgotten? Do more people need to be reminded of how to behave at large concerts and festival? Kit, do you mind if I start with you?
No, of course. I mean, there are two sides to it. There's obviously like the more safety side, which is obviously more serious. But aside that, for me, I like a lot of smaller artists. And when artists are singing, I really dislike it when like a lot of people are really screaming. And for me, when it comes to like concert etiquette, that is something that really pisses me off. Like, I didn't come to pay for you to sing, you know? But then obviously on top of that, there's the more serious stuff where it's, you know, the trampling on top of each other to get to the front. You know, there are rules in place that if you want to get barricade, you have to walk really slowly in a line, But at a festival, it seems like there's not as many rules. And clearly that's, being shown.
Yeah, I do want to echo the point that you just made, Kid, about people singing along to concerts. If it's a big stadium concert, that is part of the deal, right? Like everybody understands you're there, you're singing. I was going to use a Journey reference, but that's like, 40 years out of date. But like you're screaming your head off. But when you were in a club or if you were in a theater, I have literally said to people before who are next to me and around when they're screaming as the artist singing, like, oh, I'm sorry, did you sing this song? No? Great, please stop singing. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like literally we did not come to hear anybody except for the people on stage perform. I've been at the opera, the Metropolitan Opera, and had people sitting down the road from me singing along to arias. And I was like, no, we're not doing this. Like literally. That being said, Erin, do you have thoughts on this? Have people forgotten how to be a good audience?
I think with the pandemic, I think it really ruined people in a lot of ways as far as like knowing how to behave in public. You notice it a lot at movie theaters. You notice it everywhere you go where people have forgotten that you're not in the privacy of your own home and they've forgotten how to be polite to other people. But with this kind of stuff with like, crowd pushing and large crowd surges, this stuff has happened for decades. So this is stuff that has always happened. I mean, if you watch the documentary about Woodstock 99, which, whoa, I mean, just
terrifying.
Lots of horrible stuff happening there.
Yeah.
And so it's always happened. And of course, that one Rolling Stone concert, which I'm forgetting.
Monterey? Is it Monterey? Yeah.
I think that was, So stuff like this always happens, but I do think it has been exacerbated by a couple of things, by the pandemic, but also social media, honestly, and our phones, because people spend more time on their phones while they're at places than like actually watching what they're there or listening there, or they'll be recording it, or people recording scenes from movies while they're watching movies and then posting them. To me, I'm like, why would you do that? That's taking away from not only your enjoyment, but everybody else around you if they have to see that light thing. So I think that's the combination that's kind of exacerbated a problem that's always sort of been there.
Let's take that and kind of have a little bit of fun with it, because I agree with what you just said. Ashleigh, if you could say to the world populace, you have the microphone right now, you're in front of the world, they're listening, and if you had to give them one piece of advice as to how to be a better audience member to everyone else, like, so you've forgotten how to people, this is how you be a good person in a crowd, what was the piece of advice that you would give them?
Always consider what the experience is like for the people in your immediate surrounding area, to the front of you, to the back of you, to the left of you, to the right of you. Because I could say, just have more empathy or do something broad, but if you just have to focus on one little thing, think, am I blocking the person behind me if I stand up during this number? People to the left and the right of me, am I shoving their elbows out of the way? Am I kicking the seat in front of me? Just even little things you can do to just be a little conscientious like that. I think that's a good place to start.
Great place to start. And situational awareness is a real problem, and I'm not sure when that started to become a problem, but boy, is it. Kit, I'm going to pose the same question to you. If you had the microphone and could speak to the world and they would actually listen, what's the one piece of advice you would give them about how to be a good audience member?
Respect the artist. Because I'm starting to get pissed off with these people like throwing stuff at artists, like throwing things on stage, period. Like, what are we doing? We did not come here to throw anything. I don't know why that's started again. I think it's true. It's like after the pandemic, I think people kind of lost their kind of manners, I guess. I don't know. I feel like before the pandemic, there wasn't as many issues. Again, with me, it's like smaller venues and stuff. But when they're throwing things at an artist, or you kind of dehumanize the artist, like you don't know how long it's taken them to get to this place to play this show. Like, this is a massive deal to them. And you're shouting at them, you're throwing things at them, you're flashing lights in their face. It's like, let's just like see the artist from their point of view and understand what they've done to get here and respect that.
I love that. That's a great point. And kind of playing off of that, one person that I did really appreciate the way that they've approached all of this, kind of with the raw authenticity, is Chapel Rowan, where it was not even the most the Lollapalooza one, right? Where it was this crazy record breaking crowd. But it was a couple months ago where she was performing in front of a huge crowd of people. And she flat out said, like, guys, I need to share something with you. Like, this is all going really fast for me, and I'm not really sure how I can deal with all of this, but like, please just be patient with me as I go on this journey. Like, wow, how refreshing, right? It was kind of an insight into these artists have put a lot of time into it that we have no idea.
Exactly. And also with Chapel, I remember hearing her say, because Chapel kind of presents, and I think she like identifies as like a drag queen in some ways.
Yeah.
And I remember she said, like, I don't want you to tell me personal stories. Like she set all of these rules when she started. She was like, I don't want you to tell me personal stories. I don't want you to call me by my real name. Like she set all of these things because nowadays people don't really have that respect for artists, but they think that they're doing the right thing by like almost overstepping and having these parasocial relationships. That's not why the artist came into it. Obviously it's a perk having fans, but these artists come here to make music, make songs, make artistry and share it. And that's a privilege for you in and of itself. The fact that you get to revel in that. So don't take advantage and don't take privileges.
It is such a privilege. You're right. And Chapel Romans is your favorite drag queen's favorite drag queen. So thank you. Erin, if you had the microphone and you were telling the world how to be a good audience member, what would you tell them?
Just kind of going off of what both of you were just talking about is just remembering that the people that you're going to see are human beings. You don't own them. They aren't things. They are actual human beings who have feelings, who have family, who have people they love, and to treat them as such. Don't treat them as because you're a fan, because you're paying, they get to do whatever you say. And people so often forget that.
Yeah, I think you all did a great job, and I'm not going to tell the world what to do. I'm just kidding. I think my only piece of advice is, can we all just be patient with one another? Like, just a little bit patient, because I think and I'm guilty of this too, I was recently at San Diego Comic-Con, and when I had to get in the line to get my pass, it was like blocks long, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? You expecting me to wait how long? And it was a moment where it was like, oh, how about you check yourself because you've already wrecked yourself, you know? But let's all just calm down, eat a cookie, and just enjoy life for a minute, right? Like just chill. But awesome, guys. That was a great conversation. I think we're going to throw it to a quick break, but we're going to be right back after this. Erin, you and I are going to be the two Americans talking about an English news story, so bear with us, folks. The BBC News presenter Hugh Edwards has been asked to return more than £200,000 of his annual salary after being arrested in November on child abuse image charges. The BBC chair said that the former presented, quote, behaved in bad faith in continuing to take his salary despite knowing his actions went against policy. So I think the question really that we should be discussing here, Erin, is if you are an employee and you leave an organization, if then it is found out that you either didn't do a great job or if perhaps you were found out to have done something that you shouldn't have been doing, should you give back the money? What do you think?
Ooh, I think it's just that's a tough one to answer for sure. I think because I mean it's kind of like it's too little too late at that point, except for I think it would depend. If you were doing something illegal and they found out you're doing something illegal and it had to do with that money that you're taking, then yes, I can see that. But like if it just turned out that like you were bad at your job and you forgot to like file a document or something like that, then that would be kind of ridiculous. But I mean, I can see it in the case if it was like an extreme case where because of your actions, other people lost a bunch of money, or people, you know, if it was like legal, like you were a lawyer or something and people were wrongly convicted because of your poor stuff, then there would probably be other facets of that anyway. But as far as like, if you just were bad at your job, there are lots of people that are bad at their jobs that get fired and don't lose their money later. It's kind of like too little too late kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Welcome back, Kit. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Slightly stressed. I don't know.
It's okay.
The way I was talking to myself so confidently for like 30 seconds, and I have dyslexia, and I was reading off of this thing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm serving right now." Like, and then I just heard everyone just being like, "Kit, are you there?" So
Kit,
I'm doing really well.
You were doing the thing.
Thank
You're
you
doing
so much.
Great.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this situation. If you leave a position and it is found that you either didn't do a good job or perhaps there was something around it that was, we'll say, differently legal. We don't want to make assumptions. Do you think that you should be expected to give back part of that money?
I mean, obviously it all depends case by case.
Sure.
But if you were just bad at the job, like it's been said, some people have just been bad at the job, and then it's just also then it maybe falls down to management. It's like, why weren't you managing that person? Do you know what I mean? Like, if they were that bad, surely you would have noticed at the time. And you can't, especially in this economy, you can't be taking away money from people.
In this economy, yeah. My thing is, if it was me, you can't get money back. It's already been spent, baby. You can't get blood out of a stone. But not to be glib about this, and sincerely, Ashleigh, welcome back. Do you have thoughts about this particular topic? Do you think that if you are found to have done some wrongdoing, that you should have to give back part of your salary?
I think it would probably depend on the context of what the wrongdoing was. I mean, I think I agree that, like, if you're just bad at your job in a sort of normal way, then yeah, I don't think you really can be made to give back the money. It doesn't really make sense in that sense, because it's not a crime to be bad at doing something. But then I guess if I'm trying to think of a sort of certain situation where that would be a normal avenue to pursue. Because typically for jobs, there's other disciplinary actions for doing something illegal in the course of your job, such as being fired. I guess the one exception would be if you had embezzled money and you had done that, then they would be within their rights to try and get that back, because that's specifically about you were taking something you weren't supposed to be taking.
Sure.
But beyond that, I don't really know. Is there even a way you can make someone give back their money?
Claw it back. I think one thing that's a particular wrinkle in this, and please correct me if I'm wrong for the folks on the British side of the pond, this is technically public money, right? Because it's through the BBC, correct?
Yeah, it would be. So the way it works is basically institutions like the BBC are funded from government money, which typically comes from things like TV license, which is something I know Americans like to joke a lot about, that we have to have licenses for our TVs. But if you have any device that can intercept a TV signal, you have to pay a TV license. That money goes towards the BBC.
I have to say, Erin, I don't know about you, but I don't feel like we have any place to judge any other countries in the way that they run their business at this point. You're a mess.
Oh, no way. No.
Yeah. I've been saying for a while now, by all means, the rest of the world, this is your chance. Please come and kick us. We are down. Like, go for it. We deserve it.
We do deserve it.
Yeah. But so this is technically public monies that we're talking about, right? And I think perhaps the interesting wrinkle in this one is that there were time periods involved in this where things were known or not known, when I think races were also involved. Is that correct?
I believe so. I'm not 100% appraised of the story, but that would be an interesting wrinkle, because then it comes into the question of who was making the decision to say, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and give them the raise anyway. If it was like beyond just, obviously he knew he was doing the bad stuff, but if it extends to sort of up the chain, up the hierarchy of people saying, well, we knew it was happening anyway, but we approved the raises, we approved, sort of pushing this guy as a lead presenter. Well, that then, I think, has cascading effects up the chain, rather than it just being focused on, well, we just need this one guy to pay us back. It's like, well, hang on. Let's have a look at the other people who were making those decisions and see maybe what their salaries are and whether those are justified.
Yeah, it's not the same exact situation, but I'm thinking of the Matt Lauer situation with Today. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was way more complicated, if we're being completely honest. But I do think that it's an interesting conversation. And I think ultimately the only thing that I'm coming back from it is make sure you're doing a good job, because you don't want afterwards someone to come and tap on your shoulder and say, hey, remember that job you left 3 months ago? You owe us money. Again, you can't get back what doesn't exist. I do want to pivot, if we can, and talk a little bit about some good news, some exciting news, some pop culture news. And that is that this weekend was the D23 conference, where Disney announced its new slate of films, theme park rides, theater shows, etc. to the fandom. First of all, were they tapped into that? Erin, you're a big pop culture person from It's a Fandom thing. Are you aware of it?
I'm aware of it. I'm not a big Disney person, though, I have to say. So I was tapped into it and hearing about it. I think like the Villains thing that they're doing, the new Villains theme park, like it's part of their theme park that they announced. That's cool to me, because I'm all about the villains. So that was exciting to me. But I wasn't as like, it's not one of the ones that, like San Diego Comic-Con, we were, tuned into that. And, we had one of our frequent panelists was out there and stuff. So tuned into that, of course, but not as much to this, I have to admit. But the villains part really excites me, just because I'm all about the villains, and especially in Disney.
In case you don't know, because this was just announced yesterday, the deal is that they are building a villains land in the Magic Kingdom in, I think, the Florida location, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool because this is something that they had floated many, many years ago for a park that I believe that was abandoned. So it's going to be Bad Guys Palooza, your Ursulas, your Gastons, your Maleficents, basically all the cool people will be there. And that's where they're going to rule. Is anybody else on this a Disney adult? Ashleigh, are you a Disney adult?
No. And I say no with an asterisk, in the sense that I like IPs that Disney owns. I like Star Wars, like Indiana Jones, but I'm not as into like the animated stuff. They're good movies, and I saw Incredibles 3 was announced. I like the other Incredibles movies. Might go see that at some point. But I'm not like mega on the train in the way that like some people are really into it.
Yes, I have several friends who are full-blown Disney adults, and it gets a little scary sometimes. Speaking of Indiana Jones, I will say one thing they did announce yesterday was Indiana Jones is getting a new ride in Animal Kingdom in Florida in their tropical area, which sounds pretty cool because the Indiana Jones ride that exists currently in Florida is Busted, and it is in desperate need of some loving. Kid, are you a Disney adult?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I like Disney. I've never been to Disneyland or World. I'm so conscious that this is going to cut out, and like halfway through, I'm just going to be like talking to no one.
You're good.
I'm going. I'm just going to horse blinders. No, I did look at it, and it's just on my Twitter all the time. It's just there. So I saw like I found it interesting seeing like all of the IPs that Disney Pixar already owns are getting like all of these sequels, and they're not necessarily investing into original movies anymore, which I think is kind of interesting.
That's such a great point. And I think, Erin, you can probably speak to that, right? Which is, so for those who don't know, when I asked if Erin was a Disney adult, I know for a fact Erin is like the anti-Disney adult. Erin likes murder. Erin likes horror.
I have a whole horror display right behind me. Michael Myers stuff that I collect. So.
If they made Disney Serial Killer Land, Erin would be first in line, ready to go. By the way, you can take that idea, Disney. I just want 10% cut. So you understand, though, as a fandom person who covers all of this stuff, exactly what Kit just said is correct. That at this point, it's kind of strip mining what's already there. It's not building new concepts. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, you can go back to San Diego Comic-Con and the whole, Robert Downey Jr. coming back and playing Doctor Doom and that whole reveal and bringing back the Russo brothers, which is something Robert Downey Jr. said he would only sign on if they came back. And so you look at that, which also brought about a lot of anger from people because of all of the money he is making and the fact that Disney, laid off people and the fact that, like, certain people aren't making as much money as that. So, but it's like, I think what happened is Marvel was trying to do a lot of things and start new projects, and they didn't invest as much time in that. And so they're like, let's go back to what we were making a bunch of money at, and we'll start over there. And Robert Downey Jr., no matter what you want to think about how much he's making or anything like that, and I have my own thoughts on it. We talked about it actually in my podcast a couple of weeks ago. He really did kind of save Marvel, I mean, because of Iron Man. So I think, and now that Disney owns that, I think that's kind of what Disney wants to do. And Disney, they know how to do that. They put stuff in vaults and then they bring it back because they know how to make the money. And I think that's what they're doing is they're like, we're losing money on certain things, so we're going to go back to what works.
Yeah, the magic of the magic capitalism is in fact capitalism. That is what makes it go around. I will say, speaking of Robert Downey Jr., one of the other things that they announced yesterday, they're building out the Avengers campus at the California park, and they are adding a new Iron Man ride in which Robert will play Tony Stark in that ride again. I know I sound cynical and as though I'm slapping at Disney. I do think there was, from a broad perspective, I think they came out swinging with this D23. There were a lot of big announcements, especially for their parks, for their stage shows, for their cruise lines. And it really felt to me like they were, to Kit's point, they are absolutely just leveraging existing IPs that they already have. But they put a lot out there for people to get them excited going into the next few years. The one thing I will also say, though, is that Disney has a history of saying we're going to do a lot of stuff for our parks, and then it doesn't actually end up happening, and it takes a really long time. But I'm excited. I see Disney fans excited, and I hope that continues. Speaking of organizations that spend a lot of money and get criticized a lot, let's talk a little bit about the Olympics. As we record this right now, we are literally on as the closing ceremonies of the Paris Olympics are happening. Has anyone here watched the Olympics? Ashleigh, did you watch them at all?
I was keeping it up on a tracker pretty much every day at work. At least somebody on the team I work in had the ticker up, just what sports are going on, medal table, keeping an eye on it, seeing how it's going.
But not like you were not engaged.
Not beyond a couple of the major stories that broke that I covered on the show that I do on Sundays as well, last week and the week before. So beyond the big ticket items, not engaged, but keeping an eye on it.
What were some of the stories that you were covering?
Well, the boxing, chiefly.
Yeah,
Imada Khalif, who won the gold today or yesterday, and the furore over her participation. And then a couple of other things about some of the other boxers as well, and how that sort of ties into the fact that the Olympics is an international event, but it is not immune, I think, to Western-centric standards of what people ought to look like and act like.
Boy, howdy. Oh, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so I have been watching it, but not, every individual event. Although, some interesting performances going on, especially in the breakdancing.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I do want to touch on that in the gentlest possible way. Kit, did you watch the Olympics, or is it something you care about?
No.
Not for you.
Sorry.
No,
yeah, to be blunt, no. I don't know. I respect it, of course, and I think it's really impressive, but it's always on in our house. It's just there, and then, when you walk to the kitchen, you're just like, oh, that's cool. What's for dinner? You just kind of move on. But I really respect all the athletes, but I'm not really interested.
It is pretty, and listen, I'm so gay that it's painful, and I don't care about sports 99.9% of the time. But the Olympics, they get me, and I don't know why. And I always get completely enraptured in them, and I love to see, every time there's some new record that's being set, and it's like humanity is getting faster and stronger and can jump farther. I can't do any of those things, but somebody can, and that's pretty cool to watch. Erin, do you watch them at all or no?
No. No, I'm the same way, except for, I was following, of course, the boxing story, everybody was. And then also with the breakdancing thing, I want to just interject. There's a great TikTok video out there of setting that routine to the, I don't know if everybody remembers the movie from the 80s or has seen it since, called Teen Witch.
Yes.
And the song Top That. And so they set that breakdancing to top that. It is so funny. So go seek that out, everybody. It's probably the best one I've seen for that one. So
if you're listening to this, you're like, what are they talking about with breakdancing? I want to briefly talk about this. So breakdancing made its Olympics debut on this particular year. And it was, gosh, how do we put this? It wasn't great. And I think it's important to understand, in my opinion, why it wasn't great. And I've seen great TikToks that are comparing. Here's the gold medal winner from the Paris Olympics for breakdancing. Here's an 8-year-old who's dancing on the street. And the 8-year-old is clearly very much more impressive, right? But I think it's important to understand that for the Olympics, they have to do things with specific elements in their routines to maximize points. It's not so much about the flashy moves and dazzling the audiences and making a compelling story as a dancer. It's about hitting specific elements in a way that maximizes points, which is also true for gymnastics, and it's also true for ice skating. So I'm sitting there watching this time. It's these gymnastics routines, they just it's herky jerky. They go from now I'm doing this skill, now I'm doing this skill, but it's not a story that it's telling. I know that sounds really twee, but it's the same thing I think with breakdancing. I think the real question, and I think something worth debating, is A, does breakdancing have a place in the Olympics? And B, how are we taking a discipline that started in lower income communities and turning it into a really corporatized sports event, celebrating people, most of whom are not, the actual originators are not there competing in it. You know what I mean? Ashleigh, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the two interesting points. I think to the first point, does it belong in the Olympics? I think as much as any dancing. I know I heard on the grapevine that ballroom dancing tried again to get into the Olympics, rejected again. Breakdancing was accepted this year. So there's a lot of debate and discussion about what does and what doesn't get accepted. And some things get in and then later get out in terms of sports. So it's not an eternal thing. So maybe we don't see breakdancing next time, but we do see it this time. I think it has as much place as any dancing sport. It's very physical, can't deny that. So if you're going to have rhythm dancing or dancing with a hoop, as they do have, may as well have breakdancing. In terms of bringing a sport from a traditionally lower income or marginalized background and then bringing that into an international stage, I think it can have positives in terms of visibility, but it's also the case, as you say, that is it, necessarily those people are the ones who get to go. There's a big debate about the Olympics, is who gets to qualify for the Olympics. Well, you have to have access to sports programs, right? It's a thing about rowing in like British universities. You typically aren't a rower if you're from a poor background, because you need to live near a river and own a boat or have access to one. So it's equestrian. You need to be able to afford to learn to ride a horse to do equestrian. So you do end up with these sort of class divides in various different types of sport, I think.
I think that's such a great point. And when you were saying that, it made me think this is a bit of a reach, but bear with me. Back in the 90s, when Madonna took Vogue from the ballroom floors of the LGBTQ community, specifically the POC community in New York City, and then it became this huge thing, right? And meanwhile, if you watch the documentary Paris is Burning, which, by the way, if you've not watched it, please watch it. It's absolutely a seminal work. They were like, we made this and you all are making a lot of money off of it and we're getting like nothing. So how is that okay? Do you have any thoughts about any of this, Kit, or does it speak to you in any way?
Sorry, what was the question? My Wi-Fi just cut out again.
It's good. We were talking about, so one of the elements about breakdancing, it's a little bit challenging, is that the people who founded breakdancing tend to be more people who are marginalized from lower income communities, are not the people who are now generally competing on it on the Olympic stage. Right. Do you think that there is some lack of equity there? And is it acceptable that we aren't making a pipeline so those founders can have their moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I did hear Ashleigh's points and I do echo those. I think it's about, holding a mirror up and showing that representation back to them, like these, especially like to kids, and, maybe making those dance classes free and making it accessible so that they can see these people that are in the Olympics and aspire to be them, that it doesn't just become like this gentrified thing where it's like, okay, now it's in the Olympics, now you have to pay this much money to do this course or do this school so that you can then go to the Olympics. It's allowing these people in these poor income areas to have those dreams and to be able to feel like they can fulfill those,
Yeah, and I agree. And if we can all agree that maybe what we saw this year was not terrific, I do hope for the future that this is the beginning, because it's the sport's first year in the Olympics, and it does inspire more of those kids who are already incredible in their own right to get out there and be like, no, I'm going to make the Olympics next time, because that was never a dream before now. So in that way, it's kind of cool. With all things, it takes a little bit of time. But with that being said, folks, we're going to take another quick break. We will be right back after these messages.
Welcome back to Doing the Thing on Wizard Radio. Before the break, we were talking a bit about the Olympics, and I had a bit of an interesting discovery over the break in part. But we were talking about events that, have come in and fallen out of fashion and come in and then been brought in. There are a whole bunch of events that you might not anticipate as having been at the Olympics. I'm going to run some of these down. Epic works of poetry used to be an Olympic, not sport, but event. Mixed architecture and town planning. Graphic works. Metal sculpting, which is ironic. And at the 1900 Olympics in Paris, they trialed poodle clipping. Clipping poodles into artistic shapes. Their fur. Off the back of this, given that theoretically anything can be an Olympic sport, air quotes, if any of you guys, and we'll do a little round table here, we're going to win a gold medal at anything at the Olympics, you reckon that you have a shot at being number one in the world, of your country as well, what would you pick? Eric, we'll start with you.
I have two options. So I think that's going to make me a dual medal winner, I think, right? I'm cross-disciplinary. Yeah, of course. The obvious answer is ice cream eating, specifically the Ben & Jerry's ice cream eating challenge, because I do consider myself... You have to. And then, I can specialize specifically in Chubby Hubby. But, whatever. I'm open to other flavors too. But it is shocking and disturbing how fast I can put away a pint of Ben & Jerry's. And I do think that the Olympics needs to recognize my hard work and dedication in this craft. And then second, I think it would have to be in useless reality television knowledge, like being able to tell you like the elimination orders from like the early cycles of America's Next Top Model or RuPaul's Drag Race. completely useless information that fills up a gigantic part of my brain. If you want to ask me what's calculus or where to find Guatemala on a map, I can't help you. But I can tell you that Cassandra was like second out of season 5 of America's Next Top Model. And that's my life. And that's why I will end up alone. But thank you.
Well, I think it's great that you're going to win too. You know, Jesse Owens got 4, but you for ice cream and useless trivia, you're going to be up there on the podium of the Halls of Fame.
Take that, Jesse Owens. Yeah.
Erin, what do you think you're going to be winning the gold at?
Well, since Eric picked 2, I'm picking 2 as well.
Oh, do.
The first would be the character Dean Winchester from the show Supernatural. That's my all-time favorite character. I could tell you everything about that man. So that for sure, I would definitely get like triple, quadruple, whatever, gold. And then the other one would be, of course, horror, especially if it had to do with Michael Myers, but pretty much anything horror related, especially slashers. So yeah, I would definitely.
Perfect.
Useless trivia there too. So.
Oh, useless trivia. Well, we're going to have some competition in that category. Maybe you and Eric going head to head in the heats.
I think we're actually working on a trivia thing together for real. So, let's watch this space. We're putting peanut butter in our chocolate. It's 2 great tastes that go great together. Yeah.
Well, it links in with the Ben and Jerry stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Kit, if you were competing for a gold for an Olympic event of absolutely anything, what do you got the best shot at?
I think the easy one is saying like talking to myself, because like famously the podcast, I can just like chatter for hours. It's like a little bit concerning. But also like romanticizing very mediocre men is quite that's quite a good, I feel like I'd take all 3 spaces, maybe like first, second and third, because I feel like I'm the only person sometimes doing that. So I think, yeah, I'd be a very good Olympian. I'd set records. Yeah.
I do the same thing. So
yeah, I was going to say, I think there are a great many mediocre men that are out there that are absolutely being romanticized. So you are an amazing company, I think.
Be fighting for the title.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful. So we have a nice little podium finish. And in terms of like the Olympics stuff, were there any events that you guys feel ought to be added on a sort of more serious level, ones that ought to be recognized as sports but aren't? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
You mentioned ballroom dancing. Oh, go ahead, Kit. I'm sorry.
No, please go.
I was going to say, you'd mentioned ballroom dancing, and when I saw breakdancing, I was like, you know what? Let's bring ballroom dancing into this, because that would be fierce. Like, can you imagine how, like, a really scorching hot tango from actual Argentinians? Like, I would be riveted to the television. So I 100% am here for the ballroom dancing. And I also, tug of war used to actually be a Olympic sport, and please bring back tug of war, because you know they would be some beefers that are on that rope just yanking one another. Like that sounds 100% my aesthetic. So please bring me the beef, bring back tug of war, you cowards.
I think pole dancing would be a great one. Pole dancing
I like that
requires a lot. The amount of strength that it takes for pole dancing is like genuinely insane. And I think that it truly is a sport, and I feel like they have tried to push it before for the Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, but I could totally see it being up there, because I don't know, I just think it's so impressive to do it and look so like fluid and natural. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they have the classes. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions, Erin?
Oh man, I like that pole dancing one. And going off of that one, and see, it would probably, this is just like dream scenario, but like actually like burlesque or belly dancing, stuff like that too, because that takes a lot of skill too. And it's not just about, I think people want to toss that aside because they don't want to, especially with like pole dancing, they associate it with, oh, that's just seedy and sleazy. But it is, there's a lot of athleticism to that. And you have to have like a strong core. And I mean, that pole, especially like doing like some of the upside down things that some people do, is just, it's incredible work. Yeah.
Well, for my part, I think it would be interesting if we were to incorporate more, and I'm not a massive motorsports person, but motorsports and aerial sports, things with cars and things with planes, because we already have boats in the sense of sailing. So I just wonder if there's a way we can open new physical dimensions to the Olympics. I don't know if you could do skydiving as an event, but wouldn't that be cool to watch?
That would be really cool. And actually, hot air ballooning was also originally an Olympic event for 1 year. But I think that's a great idea, Ashley. Like, that would be super cool to watch people skydiving, and how you even would judge that. Make it happen, man.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. So the ones that are currently on the shortlist, I think, for 2028 Summer Olympics, which is Los Angeles in the United States, are as follows. Baseball, breakdancing, which would be coming back, obviously. Cricket, flag football, which I think is an American thing. That's like tag football.
Should we explain that what that is? But go on, yeah.
Is it just like touch rugby but for American football?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Weird that they would do that one and not the normal one. Karate and kickboxing, 2 different things. Lacrosse, squash, and then motorsports. Those are the ones that they are sort of currently mooting as to whether they want to bring them in or not for submission. So I'm not quite sure of the exact process by which you can put forward, but all of these sports, every sport in the world is jockeying to try and get a position in the Olympics because it's the ultimate legitimizing factor.
For sure.
I'm surprised no one's put forward pickleball, honestly, because that is so big here.
It's a matter of time.
Explain to me pickleball.
I don't really quite get it. The way I get it from people that I know that are like, because when people are into pickleball, they're like obsessed. It's like kind of like tennis, but it's a more like the actual racket is more like something that from ping pong, right? Isn't it more like that? And you hit it over a tinier little thing.
I just Googled it.
That's not explaining it very well, but
it's bonkers, and nothing about it has to do with pickles, and for that reason, I'm out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of how the Olympics opens and closes and the closing ceremonies and stuff, because that is a sort of pop culture element, do you... what do you think about the closing ceremonies, or the opening ceremonies, for that matter of fact? Because obviously we are currently concurrently live with the closing ceremony, so I've been informed. Ought it to be a bigger event? I know at least when it was in London, it was like a huge deal, and Beijing as well. The opening ceremony was like a big thing, a big cultural show of this is what our whole deal is as a country, and we're going to show it all off with this big song and dance number. Do you think we need maybe more of that in the Olympics or less of that in the Olympics? Eric, what do you think?
So I thought that the Paris one was really ambitious. Did anybody else watch it on here or no?
I saw clips.
Yeah. There were a lot of really cool ideas, and I thought that some of it came off really well and others of it just didn't land. And I think they were really hampered by the weather was a huge issue, right? And there was nothing they could do about that. I love the pageantry of the Olympics. I think it is, it hits every part of my gay sensibility. The fact that these are going to be in LA next time, I can assure you on behalf of my American brethren that we will be tacky. We will do things over the top. There will be absolutely nothing subtle about it. And so you can look forward to that world. But yeah, I think it should, like, all of our nation's greatest Olympic athletes and many of their leaders are all descending upon one place at once. Like, that doesn't happen anyplace else for any other reason. While I don't care about sports, there is the kind of like bringing the world together. Like, let's make a big deal out of this, right? Let's really go over the top, pop the bottles, and have a good time. And yeah, I'm all for it, as gaudy and over the top as they can be.
Well, Erin, what do you think? Ought Olympics LA be Olympics Vegas, perhaps? Or Orlando?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Olympics LA, you'll see the Hollywood thing will be what it'll be. It'll be just like an exaggeration of that. You'll probably see something having to do with the Hollywood sign, something having to do with old Hollywood, glitz and glamour, Beverly Hills, that kind of Rodeo Drive, all that kind of stuff. So it'll probably be mostly focused on that. I don't know if we need more of the opening and the closing, but I think that's a part of the ceremony that I think even people that don't watch the Olympics tune in for, because it's kind of like the halftime show at the Super Bowl here, where people might not watch the Super Bowl, but they'll tune in for the halftime show because they want to see what will happen, like what huge star will be there, what huge performance, what weird thing might happen. And so I'm sure with LA, that's going to be Gaudy is probably the first word that came to mind, honestly.
That's an interesting point, because then perhaps does having a huge, A-list celebrity or a number of A-list celebrities being in the ceremony, does that at all detract from the other things that the Olympics is sort of about, which is the sports people, the athletics? Or is that just sort of part of it? Is the performance, is it all just a big performance for us to indulge in? Kit, what do you think? Pageantry, yay or nay? More so or less so?
Yay, yeah, for sure. I mean, it has to be camp. I think if you don't lean into the campness, then I just think it's a bit boring. Because I think we all know that, like, subconsciously we know that it's going to be this kind of campy thing. In the Paris one, there were drag queens, there was Lady Gaga, there was Celine Dion. Like, come on, like we have to say what it is. And I think it's more fun. Like Erin said, it's bringing in a different kind of audience, and exposing them to, different things. And I'm sure in the LA one, there's going to be artists. I know Billie Eilish is closing Paris Olympics, and that's probably bringing in quite a young audience that maybe, didn't really even know about the Olympics 4 years ago, So it's bringing in like a whole different audience. And I'm intrigued to see what they do in the LA Olympics. It's kind of crazy that they're setting it in LA. I don't know. That's kind of rogue to me. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's all the time we have on Doing the Thing today. Thank you, Ashleigh, Erin, and Kit. Where can our listeners find you? Ashleigh, where can people find you?
You can find me on Next on Wizard Radio. If you just stay tuned, we'll be talking about international affairs from around the world, so stay tuned for that. You can also find me on Twitter at @Stiles97. I don't post often, but trying to do more of it, so you can find me there as well.
Excellent. Erin, where can people find you?
They can find It's a Fandom Thing on any podcast player near you, and we are on all social media platforms under It's a Fandom Thing Pod, except for Twitter, we're just at Fandom Thing Pod.
Excellent. And Kit, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and on TikTok at kit.costello, and you can find my podcast Self-Interrupted on all streaming platforms, and also on TikTok and Instagram at Self-Interrupted Pod.
Awesome. I'm Eric Rezsnyak, and you can find me on The Great Pop Culture Debate. It's available on all podcast platforms. We're on pretty much all the social medias, and you can really just go to www.greatpopculturedebate.com for all of our episodes. Remember to catch new episodes of Doing the Thing live on Wizard Radio Station every Sunday from 8 p.m. UK time, and on all podcast platforms from Monday morning. We'll see you next week.